The following program may contain adult language and mature subject matter and does not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Reality Radio 101, its advertisers and sponsors, or its listening audience. Listener discretion is strongly advised. Good evening and welcome to the Canadian Cigar Scene with your host Kevin Newell and Julian Luke right here on Reality Radio 101. To contact us live this evening, dial 905-725-1907. Toll free in North America, 1-866-905-7325. Worldwide, 1-866-656-5477. Send us an email, instudio101@gmail.com. And now, your host of Canadian Cigar Scene, Julian Luke.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Canadian Cigar Scene on Reality Radio 101. I'm here in the studio on my own this evening because we had a rather unfortunate situation with my dear colleague Kevin, who managed to catch a football in all the wrong ways yesterday and subsequently is having a little bit of hand surgery tomorrow. So we wish you all the best, Kevin, and hope you a speedy recovery. There is some question he might call in, but we totally understand if you don't. So, every week we've been doing this show, and people ask us, why do you do Canadian Cigar Scene? What got into you? This is all about education, folks. So many people want information about what's going on in the cigar scene. They want to know why things are, different or better in Canada. And we've been very fortunate to meet an awful lot of people that can help us answer those questions. And from time to time, we have them in as guests. And sometimes we pause to take a breath, as we're doing tonight, and just catch up with the volume of email that we get and answer some of the listener emails. So before I go any further, I'm going to pull up my papers here and have a look at the very first listener email that we got today. Now, you should know that we don't always talk strictly cigars on this show. From time to time, we have pipes as well. And our first question from Ryan in Port Dover says, I listen to your show a lot, and I have questions about pipe tobacco. I know you've had Doug the Pipe Expert on a few times and wonder if he could explain the different types of ingredients like Cavendish or Burley. I get confused about which types of leaf to look for. Ryan, thanks for the question, and I got to tell you, you're not alone because, we have a hard time with the terminology. For people that are just starting with a pipe in our store, it's probably one of the hardest things is to get around all the lingo. So we usually keep it simple. We usually talk about candy and campfire because the two main kinds of tobacco that people like, they either smell like candy or Christmas cake, or they actually literally smell like the smoke from a campfire. And it's all to do with the constituent tobaccos. Now, if you're looking to get information about constituent tobaccos, I can't tell you any better source than Pipes and Tobaccos magazine. It's published in the States, but these guys have some real Canadian connections. In fact, just over a year ago, we were able to have Michael Parks on the show, and he was doing the Pipe of the Year for Pipes and Tobacco magazine. That was made by Michael Parks out of Bowmanville. So I'm getting a signal from the control room here. I think we might have somebody on the line.
We do. Kev, are you there?
Hey, how's it going, boys?
How are you doing? I hear you're trying out for the NFL. I didn't say CFL. I didn't say CFL. Sorry.
Yeah, really, definitely not my next gig, that's for sure.
No?
Even though I did meet Ray Lewis a few weeks ago. It's pretty cool.
Wow.
How many oxys are you into?
I'm a couple deep of it now. So
Attaboy.
Oh,
Attaboy. Well,
good.
I've got some listener emails, as you can hear. So I've got some responses crafted for them. Are you going to stay on the line and just
for sure.
chip in when if you hear anything in
I'm
particular?
here.
I'm getting a little bit of static on the line, Gary. Is that from me?
Yeah, no, I just fixed it, I think. So we should
Attaboy.
be okay.
Oh, you know what? I'm walking around too. I tend to walk when I talk. I'll stop.
There you go. That's
No
a little
issues.
better. All right. So back to pipe tobaccos. So as I said, candy or campfire. Now, Ryan, if you're going to smoke the candy flavors, that's usually going to have tobaccos like Virginias and Burleys in it, especially, okay? And a little bit of Cavendish. And I'm going to explain the difference between them. Virginia tobaccos, those are really popular because they're very sweet, very fragrant, and almost like a gourmet, style. Usually, in order to make Virginia tobaccos, they take tobacco that's been cut and they dry it in a barn. And the barn actually has a furnace in it to dry the tobacco. And so they call that flue cured, okay? So when you flue cure tobacco, it changes a lot. It makes it very yellowy in color, makes it very brittle in color, or very brittle, I should say, makes it very dry. And overall, you get a leaf that can almost shatter if you don't handle it extremely carefully. Now, this kind of brittle Virginia, and just because it's named Virginia, of course, the original 13 colonies, that's where they started growing a lot of the plantations. But today, for example, North Carolina makes a lot of Virginia tobacco. This isn't solely used in pipe tobacco. It's also used in cigarette tobaccos. And hence that, if you've ever seen the inside of a cigarette when it's not lit, you get that yellowy, that yellowy tobacco. That's Virginia, okay? But it's one of the biggest ingredients in all of your pipe blends, and most of the time, I don't think it's something you're going to smoke on its own. You're generally going to find that you're going to have a blend that's going to have Virginia. Now, what you put into the blend determines whether or not you start to get sweeter tobaccos or you start to get your English mixes. Along with Virginia, you've got Burley, another leaf. It's almost like the workhorse leaf. Burley produces really thick leaves, so it's a much sturdier kind of tobacco. But it contains almost no natural sugars because of the way they cut it. When the leaves are starting to mature, they actually cut the plants, while they're green, they're still low on their natural sugar. They cure them naturally, so they, use like an open-air barn. They don't actually use flue curing. And the result is you get like a mild, almost like a nutty taste with the tobacco. Okay, so Virginia, very sweet, very fragrant, very delicate. Burley, a little more substantial, and a little bit of a nutty flavor. Okay, so you've got those two. And I've had customers that will smoke, Burley on its own. When things start getting interesting is when you start putting a pipe tobacco called Latakia into the blend. And Latakia is a pipe tobacco that is part of a family of tobaccos called Oriental. They can have almost, like a really distinct taste, but I call it campfire because that's what it smells like. It smells like campfire up in Algonquin Park in Canada. And these Oriental tobaccos, they come from all over the Mediterranean. Today, Cyprus makes a lot of it. But at one time, Latakia itself is a city in Syria. So that poor war-torn country, they used to be known as sort of the hotbed of Oriental pipe tobaccos. So you've got, what have we covered so far? Virginia, Burley, the Orientals. Let's come back to North America. St. James Parish, Louisiana. You can get one called Perique. And Perique, I like the smell of it. It reminds me almost of like figs with pepper combined. It's a really intense leaf, and you wouldn't smoke it by yourself, but you will find it sometimes as a mixture. And I've seen it, in mixtures that have English notes, and I've seen it in mixtures that have the candy notes. And lastly, you get Cavendish, which is not a type of tobacco at all. Cavendish is simply a process. In this process, which involves using high pressure and barrels, sometimes whiskey barrels or something like that, Cavendish tobaccos can be sweetened, flavored, steamed, pressed, you named it, all kinds of different things. But the Cavendish in a blend can really stabilize the burn properties and can also help a product's flavor profiles, okay? So hopefully that helped you. The major thing if you're starting out, if it smells like candy, it's probably what we, would call an aromatic mix, and that means it's going to have like some Virginia, some Burley, some Cavendish. If you have an English mix, you're still going to have the Virginias, but more likely more Latakia into that mix. So look for that word, Latakia, and that should set you further. You got anything to add on that, Kev?
Well, I was just thinking, so I may have missed the start of the question of what it was, Ju, but I always try and refer to people, whether they're new, beginners or seasoned veterans of the pipe, that, you got to watch the tongue bite when you're. I'm not sure if you've gone through the tongue bite.
I haven't.
The aromatics and stuff, as opposed to the bit more of a coolness with the English blends. You tend to, with that sweetness, you got to sort of smoke it a little bit slower with the aromatics, because you can get what's called tongue bite, which is like almost like a burning on your tongue. If you're searching for that big mouthful of smoke, and you're puffing and puffing, the bowl's going to heat up. It's going to heat up the tobacco a little too much. Sometimes it's going to burn a little too hot. So
yeah, I like to use the analogy, like going on with the analogy of like the sweetness that you talked about. Going back to that earlier candy thing. To me, it's like and we talked campfires, right? Well, when you take a marshmallow and you put it over a campfire, it lights on fire. Sugar burns like that, and to me, that's the cause of the tongue bite. Is right there. You're seeing how hot sugar can burn.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Good point.
All right. Yeah. So hopefully, Ryan, you got your answer about the types of different pipe tobaccos, and keep those emails coming. And for more information, check out Pipes and Tobaccos magazine, published in the United States. All right, on to number 2. Kevin, you're going to love this one. Charles in Toronto. I don't understand why cigars are so much more expensive in Canada than in the United States. Can you explain?
How many times have we heard that in the shop?
We've heard it.
Liberalism.
For $3. Why is it $18 in Canada? You're the mathematician out of the pair of us. You maybe should just give people a breakdown of what happens when a cigar comes from either Nicaragua or the U.S. And
absolutely,
there's a difference between the two as well, right?
There is, and I want to take the sorry, was that Charles? Yeah, Charles. Yeah. Charles, I want to take your initial statement about how inexpensive cigars are in the U.S. because this is all due to which state you happen to shop in, and there's a tobacco retailer's almanac that's published by the International Premium Cigar and Pipe Retailers, and funnily enough, they had a list that as of January 1st, 2016, what tobacco product tax are in the United States. Now, if you travel down to Pennsylvania, you know that they are the lowest one on the block because they don't impose an Ontario a tobacco product tax in Pennsylvania. So right away, they have a competitive advantage. But when you start going through the list of all the different states, Alabama, it's 3 cents to 40 cents per 10 cigars. So could be as low as, 0.3 to 4 cents a cigar. But you get into New York, 75% of the wholesale price. Vermont, 92% of the wholesale price. Hawaii, 70%. North Dakota, 28%. And then there's
What's California?
California is 28.13%.
Okay.
And, some on the lower end of the scale, we've already talked about, Pennsylvania is dirt cheap. South Carolina is 5%. Some of them as well, Mississippi is 15%, but that's of the manufacturer's price. So you've got to be careful whether you're talking wholesale price or manufacturer's price, because manufacturer's price is coming out of Nicaragua. Mm-hmm. When it comes into the States and gets in the hand of a reseller, now that's the wholesaler's price. That can add, a whole other level. So,
and what about what about in Florida with that S chip, Drew? How does that work?
Well, that's 40 cents. That's 40 cents a stick, and that was put on all cigars that are using Florida as the port of embarkation for when cigars come into the United States. They all travel through Florida pretty much. There are some other states. I was talking with RFM today, and he was talking about Steve Saka, who was bringing his in through New England. But right now, Florida is where, to my knowledge, most of the stuff comes through. Florida says that their tobacco and snuff tax is 85% of the wholesale price. And they do have that other S chip in as well. So I don't know how that affects it. But let's not argue with Charles, because Charles, yeah, you're right that cigars by and large, can be cheaper. And I know Kevin asked about California, because when we were there recently, we didn't find a whole lot of difference in price between there and here in Southern Ontario, and they were the same price in American as we had up here. But Kevin, you said about taking people through this in 2 words, Charles, as to why they're more expensive: duty and excise. And if you want to add a third word, or a third phrase, PTT, provincial tobacco tax. So let's go through that exercise Kevin spoke about. Let's say a cigar costs $1 US south of the border. And you go down and you buy some and you're all happy with your $25 bundle, and then you come up to Canada and say, whoa, I had that same cigar. What happened? When cigars come into Canada, the first thing the government does is change the imported price from American to Canadian dollars. So that $1 just became, for argument's sake, $1.40 overnight. Duty and excise, which is the federal government, takes it to $2.80. It's approximately double. Okay? So already that $1 cigar is close on $3, but it's not all the fault of taxes. A little bit of it's due to currency conversion. Right? Now, the wholesaler, they come into the picture because, 99% of cigars in this province, they come into a wholesaler, and a wholesaler distributes to retailers. So the wholesaler imports a cigar. Now they have to add shipping costs of theirs and their own markup. And, wholesalers generally are pretty reasonable. They don't add a lot, 10 points, 15 points, 20 points, something like that. I mean, they got to eat too, right? But that means that $2.80 cigar, if you put, say, 56 cents wholesale markup and a few cents for shipping, is now about $3.50. So $1, now we're at $3.50. Now the provincial government in Ontario, or all provincial governments step in. In Ontario, we know for a fact it's 69.1%. Let's call that number 70%. So that adds $2.45 to the cigar. So the $1 US cigar, if the retailer gave it to you now for their cost that they got it from the wholesaler, is now $5.95 plus HST. And if the retailer wants to eat or feed their family or pay their rent or do whatever they do, they've got to put something on there too. So that cigar is going north of $6. So just think, folks, that $1 cigar is $6 before the retailer even touches it, and $4 out of that $6 is pure tax. Mm-hmm. And that's, I don't know in a nutshell how to put it any better. Every province has different taxation rates. Newfoundland is significantly higher than Ontario. Alberta's got a funny taxation rate provincially because they've got a flat tax. There are no inexpensive cigars in Alberta because I think it's a minimum. It's got to be $10 put on, but the upper limit is like $25. So you also don't get your $75 cigars in Alberta. They tend to, the higher price cigars are much less, and the lower price cigars cost much more, and it all winds up somewhere in the middle. So I don't know. Did we cover that?
Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it? When you think about it, and what, I got to admit, most people in Ontario, they get it. I mean, we're just used to paying the prices that we pay for the cigars. It is what it is, and when you go away, you take your limit that you're allowed, and you bring it back, and that's what people do, right? Take advantage of it.
That's what they do. Take all the advantage they can, and you know what? And we're on the same page with that because heck, we like to travel as well, and nothing feels better than getting something for a little bit of pricing you paid back home. Hey, well, I should probably check with Gary. Gary, are we on for doing a commercial?
No, go for it, man. You got a lot of information there. Go ahead.
Beautiful. Okay, Kevin, this one's for you. Okay, so this is from Rick in Dublin, Ireland. We've been getting quite a few emails and stuff from Ireland. All right.
Great support.
I will be traveling to Canada this fall and wonder if you could tell me some good shops to visit. I'll be in southern Ontario for about 4 weeks.
Oh, jeez. We've obviously got some of our favorites. I mean, when the boys at Village in Oakville and Burlington are always willing to accommodate. You'll be able to go and get yourself a nice haircut and a shave as well if you need be. That's always a good one, isn't it, Joe?
Oh yeah, that's always a good one. What about up in northern Toronto, Markham Way?
Oh, you got to go up to see Sarah at Cigar Bodega. She's up in Unionville, right? Is that the area you're thinking?
Yeah,
that's going closer to Toronto. You could go out and see Walter at the Humidor.
Yeah,
Woodbridge area. Great guy.
Trey?
Willing to take care of you. If you're right downtown, check out Akil at Sleuth and Statesman, right at First Canadian Place.
Yeah.
Great guy.
Trey at Smoking Cigars.
In the east end of Toronto, obviously our good friend Jerry Hartman will take care of you at Cigar Studio as well. All these guys have, there's a great database in the southern Ontario region. If you're just in this area, just Google cigar shops and you will be amazed at the amount of cigar shops that pop up. Of course, if you're in the Oshawa area, pop into Victory Cigars.
I guess you wouldn't forget. We shouldn't forget that one, should we?
Yeah, that's a no-brainer, right?
Yeah, and Rick, like we've concentrated on sort of like the GTA. I'm not sure. Like Southern Ontario is a big region, my friend. It's quite a bit bigger than Ireland is. You could probably fit the whole country of England, I think, inside Ontario. So you could be further afield. Maybe if Southern Ontario, you mean London, Ontario, Barbacoa Cigars. If you're going all the way to Niagara Falls, Niagara on the Lake, Customs House Cigars, go see Ian there. Fantastic.
He's a great guy.
Yeah. If you're all the way to the west of the province in Windsor, go see Caesar at Havana Palace.
Another beauty.
Yeah, and if you're in the Yorkville area, I was thinking La Casa del Habano. Julian, coincidentally enough, works there, and he'd take good care of you.
Yeah, the guy's very well versed in his Cuban cigars, and that's what they sell at La Casa. So you have a great selection of Cuban cigars in that shop for sure.
Oh, for sure. All right, we're going to pause from the emails for just a moment because we have some Victory Cigars news and events. So let's get a pencil, folks. You might want to jot these down.
Damn it, I was going to say that this time.
The cigar of the week, the Azan Robusto and Maduro Robusto are featured. Handmade by Roberto Peleo Duran. That's at Victory Cigars. For those of you that were hoping to join the folks from Victory Cigars for golf tomorrow, 9 and Dine 2.0 is sold out. Best wishes to all the golfers. Mark September 24th in your calendars. It's October Cigar Fest at Victory Cigars with special guests. There'll be schnitzel, sauerkraut, accordion music, and lederhosen plus cigars. And specially made beer direct from Munich. That is probably our biggest annual party other than our anniversary. And, boy, it just gets bigger and better every year.
Oh, yeah.
We've got some new stuff at Victory Cigars. Rocky Patel, Private Cellar Torpedo, plus the Diamond Crown Julius Caesar by J.C. Newman. Both of those cigars are new in the shop, getting some rave reviews. And Calibri, the V-Cutter, that has come out in some new colors. Folks, if you like to V-cut your cigar, if you have not tried the Calibri V-Cutter, you are doing yourself a disservice. It is absolutely the best V-Cutter on the market, in my humble opinion.
Absolutely. And by the way, just not to interrupt you there, Drew, but I talked with Penelope from Brigham today, and they'll be bringing back the Matilde is coming back into stock. They did a special order for us, so that should be back in stock.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that should be good. That's made by Jose Sejas. He's one of the guys that was inducted into the Cigar Aficionado Hall of Fame there not too long.
Oh, nice.
Last year, I think it was. So
nice. All right, beautiful. Okay, so other cigar scene happenings. We've mentioned in past shows, the Nicaraguan Cigar Festival. We're really pushing it this year. Dates have been announced January 17th till 21st, 2017. Information at www.nicaraguancigarfestival.com. Also, Cigar Aficionado magazine are also the producers of, is it Whiskey Aficionado, Kev? What's the name of that magazine?
Which one?
Cigar Aficionado's Whiskey Magazine. Is it called? It's not Whiskey Aficionado. It's
Whiskey Advocate.
Whiskey Advocate, okay? They have just put online. Tickets are now available for Whiskey Fest. This is in the States. I didn't get all the details, but we all know how well whiskeys and bourbons and scotches go with cigars. They have over 350 cigars profiled at Whiskey Fest, so if you're thinking of going to that, tickets are apparently now on sale. I want to do a shout-out to Walper's Tobacco at 15 King Street West in Kitchener. Ask for Peter, celebrating 125 years in business, which means that either he's been working there since 1891 or one of his relatives started it. That's at Walper.
He doesn't look a day over 97.
He doesn't look a day over 97. So that's walpertobacco.com. And I just got a note handed to me. There's some other things I got to mention. Tomorrow at Deer Creek, the Ontario Police Memorial Foundation. Here in Ontario, they have their big annual golf tournament. Our Victory Girls are going to be there, and we want to wish all the golfers all the best, and thanks for all you do for our communities, and way to go, guys, raising money for a great cause.
Thank you, boys.
Yeah. Sixth annual correctional officers ride is Sunday, August 28th. That's this Sunday. Now, I don't have any more details in front of me, but it's at 190 Kingston Road East, which is, if you're in the Toronto area, it's in the eastern part of Toronto. That's going to be happening. So if you're a correctional officer, talk around. If you got your Harley, they're all riding for a good cause. Thursday, which is 2 days from now, Beards and Beers at Johnny Cuts in Oshawa. Apparently, Adrian and Johnny are pulling out all the stops to make something cool happen, and rumor has it there might even be a little bit of a lounge there. So,
and Muskoka Brewery is going to be there as well. Drew handing out samples of some of their fine beverages.
Oh, fantastic! It doesn't get any better. And have we got? Is this Thursday pipe night? This is the last Thursday of the month, isn't it? Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah, it's probably pipe night this Thursday. Yeah,
Lakeshore Victory Cigars.
Yeah,
at what, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock?
7 o'clock. Yeah, Lakeshore Smokestacks will be getting together.
Perfect. So if you're a pipe aficionado, pop into the shop.
Perfect. All right, beautiful. All right, we got 2 more listener emails here, and I don't know if we'll get to both of them. We're going to get to both of them. Okay, let me read the first one. Earl from Shediac, New Brunswick. Shediac, holy Jesus, I bought lobster there. I had lobster there. Okay, Earl says, I keep hearing about the Cuban embargo being lifted. Does this mean we won't be able to get Cuban cigars in Canada?
Oh, right. There's all the speculation from everybody. I've got people saying to me that they're in the U.S. now and they're buying Cuban cigars and bringing tobacconists down there. And I'm thinking, like, nothing's changed yet.
No.
You know, first of all, nothing's changed in the States. You're still not allowed, as far as I know, and I don't think this, neither of us are aware this has changed, right, Jude? But you cannot bring Cuban cigars into America yet.
You can if you've traveled to Cuba. But like
You're
a Canadian,
$100 worth of Cuban cigars.
Yes, correct. But anybody else, like if you buy Cuban cigars in Mexico or in Canada, you cannot take them. They will be confiscated if you take them into the United States.
Right. So I mean, the thing is, the things have really changed with the FDA rulings too. I think we have to think about that and take that into consideration because, if the FDA rulings follow through and Cuba decides that they're not going to, pay for product testing, then first off, Cuban cigars won't be available in the States, will they?
Agreed. Absolutely.
Okay. So that in that point, if everything falls on the plate like that, then nothing's really changed in the world because the U.S. market won't be sucking dry the entire Cuban stock of cigars. Now, if they somehow get around this some way, shape, or form, and they allow them to put an influx into the American market, then, I mean, I would hope that the Cuban, Habanos would show respect to the company and the countries that had supported them throughout the years, and not just throw all their stock in the American market. Myself, I would hope that's the way things would play out. Wouldn't you, Joe?
I agree with you 100%. I think that there's an excellent chance that sometime in the future they'll get Cuban cigars in the States, but it's not going to be the near future. And no. I think there's a couple of things. Trademarks. I mean, there's going to be a massive trademark fight because Altadis just announced that they're launching Por Laranaga in the United States. That's a Cuban line. There's already, other companies that are bringing in Monte Cristo and Romeo and Julieta and so on. And, so trademarks got to be issued. And there's going to be, property lawsuits. I mean, everybody's well aware that there are an enormous number of expat Cubans, that live in Miami. Well, some of them are descendants of Cuban nationals that had farms that were seized by the government, and they're likely to make claims against the Cuban government. Now, if you were the Cubans, would you land a plane load of Cuban cigars, in the United States, knowing that there could be a lawsuit that you were unaware of where any Cuban product that's, part of the government's coffers could be seized for non-payment? And that could be not just for people that used to own tobacco farms, but that could be for somebody like Hilton Hotels that said that, our hotel was taken when Castro went in.
Mm-hmm.
So
right.
There's a lot to tidy up. To tidy up.
And at the end of the day, doesn't America have a lot more bigger fish to fry than worrying about Cuban cigars here, there, and everywhere,
They do. They do.
And the embargo itself, I mean, as far as other than tourism, what's the, what's the push for,
I agree. I don't think there is any push. So conclusion, yeah, it might happen, but don't worry. It's not imminent. It's going to take a lot of cleaning up. Right? Not anytime soon. All right, let's get to the last one, number 5. Nick in Toronto. What is the status of that Canadian plain packaging petition you were talking about? Why are you guys against plain packaging? Nick, easy. Cigars, they're already out of sight in the stores. Nobody can see them. And if they are in plain sight, like at a tobacconist, the individuals are required to show ID just to enter the store. So what is the point of plain packaging? This is just punitive if they go through with this. They need to be reasonable and consider that these are adult products sold only to adults. We need to have reasonable accommodation like they did in Britain. My biggest fear with the plain packaging, so if every cigar, folks, and what's being proposed here, just for those of you that are new to this issue, plain packaging is something the government's currently got on the order docket. We have until August 31st to make our feelings known. This is the consultation period. They may go forward and demand that not only every cigar box be a plain green box with just the name and a small black font, but every cigar band be removed from the cigars and replaced with a green band that just with a typewriter font says Monte Cristo, And I was talking to RFM earlier today. He says, I can just see it. I go downstairs, the father goes downstairs and sees his kid as a typewriter, says, "What are you doing?" And the kid says, "Making Monte Cristos, Dad." Because, what's going to stop people from taking any cigar and slapping a band they've made at home around that cigar and passing it off as a Siglo 6 or a Monte Cristo Open Eagle or a, Diamond Crown by, J.C. Newman? Nothing. And so there is a massive potential for fraud, and the public, considering based on our earlier discussion that you're paying $4 out of $6 in taxes, you goddamn well have the right to demand that they at least put the proper bloody band on the cigar. Because they're taxing the bejesus out of it. And it's offensive to think about, plain packaging, Nick, because these are works of art, okay? They're not just machine-made products like cigarettes being made by the billions. There's a real cultural heritage at stake here. And many cigars have labels or box artwork that evoke the legend and story behind the product. Would a box of Romeo and Julieta look the same without the two lovers in the balcony scene, And when you find out that Monte Cristo got its name in the first place because the lector, the person that used to read to keep the tobacco rollers calm, used to select books, and the favorite one of the rollers was the Count of Monte Cristo when it was being read to them. So that's where the name Monte Cristo came. So there's a massive sort of cultural piece here, and it's insulting really to think that you would kind of think that this was useful. And Britain, give them credit. They did plain packaging for cigarettes. They did not touch the packaging on cigars because they realized what a niche adult product this is. So, folks, please go to change.org. And once you're on their site, do a search for plain packaging or Canada Plain Packaging. You'll find the petition. Please sign it. We need another 300 people to sign this before the end of the month. So all of you listening, if you got on your computers right now and went to change.org and searched for the petition called Canada Plain Packaging, you could sign up and get that out there, and we can make something happen.
Help us out, people. We need some help right now.
We do need some help. And holy cow, speaking of help, I see we need Gary's help to get our outro queued up because it's the end of another show.
Holy cow, eh?
I know. Doesn't time fly? Tempus fugit, brother.
Yeah. Hey, good job tonight, Jude. Well done.
Hey,
well done.
Same to you. And listen, hope you're feeling better. Get yourself some more oxys, and away you go.
Absolutely.
All right.
We'll get her all tuned up tomorrow. All right, I'll let you guys go. I'll let you sign us all off for tonight, Jude.
I'll do that.
For letting me listen. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, next week, folks, John Trifoli from Just Cigars. If you want to contact us in the meantime, you can get us at radio@victorycigars.ca. We're on Facebook and Instagram also as Victory Cigars, and I'm on Twitter as @VictoryCigars. Kevin is @VictoryGarman. Folks, thanks to all of you for listening to another episode of Canadian Cigar Scene on realityradio101.com.
You have been listening to Canadian Cigar Scene with your hosts Kevin Newell and Julian Luke, right here on Reality Radio 101.